Hello and welcome to the last episodes, the series in which we tie up the loose ends left during our journey on Citadel Guard Adventures. This is Beriathan of the Citadel Guard of Gondor, and today we are back in Akraz-zahar, the hall of the Kharum-ubnâr, and we will be doing the missions of the Kharum-ubnâr. So, as with many other missions, as soon as you hit level 20, you get a pop-up quest. I have accepted it, but I have not completed it because it was not the time for it yet, but let's double check this quest in any case. At the behest of King Thorin's Stonehelm, the dwarves of the Kharum-ubnâr seek the aid of skilled adventurers to secure distant dwarf holds and to prepare Prince Durin and the Gabil'akkâ for victory in the forthcoming reclamation of Mount Gundabad. If you wish to assist the Kharum-ubnâr, you should report to one of the mission recruiters throughout Middle-earth. They will take you to Akraz-zahar, the hall of the Kharum-ubnâr in Erebor, the Lonely Mountain. Mission recruiters can be found at Thorin's Gate, Gundabad, Beriathan, the 21st Hall, Otrikar, Gabil'akkâ, Gloin's Camp, Hrimbar, Galtrek, the Dolben View, Magashtu, Yarnfast, Erebor, and Minas Tirith Midsummer. That's basically it. It's just to let you know it's here in the game, and we talk now to Vorthur and turn in the quest.
Gundabad will be ours once more.
Welcome and well met. I am glad the Kharum-ubnâr can count on the assistance of brave adventurers such as you. The time draws near to reclaim Mount Gundabad, and if Prince Durin is to succeed, we must bolster his army in their preparations and ensure that our brethren at distant dwarf holds have not been left behind, especially those who remain in Angmar and the Misty Mountains. In short, King Thorin has entrusted us with aiding our brethren far afield and the brave dwarves of the Gabil'akkâ. I will direct your efforts where they are needed most. Well, at least we get some little reputation for the Kharum-ubnâr, because yes, the Kharum-ubnâr is another faction introduced for these missions. Update 30, the Blood of Azog, introduced two new factions. The Kharum-ubnâr that you see here, you can only get reputation with this faction by doing missions, and they also introduced the Habanaka of Thrain, but that is for the Tales of Yore. So, if you ask me, I'm not entirely sure what they decided to add two reputation tiers, two reputation factions with that update, and in my opinion the Kharum-ubnâr is just such a big grind and not that rewarding in my opinion, but it's there, and if I did the math correctly, you only need to do about 3 weeks of missions with the Kharum-ubnâr to get to max standing without using reputation tomes. So it's not as bad as it seems, but it's something that was unnecessary in my opinion, although it's somewhat justified. The Kharum-ubnâr we saw in episode 541 are the survivors after the Battle of Azanul-bizar, and that's basically all that you get from this faction, but we have just seen that King Thorin is entrusting them with aiding the other dwarves across Middle-earth so that he can then send further reinforcements for Prince Durin in the campaign for Gundabad. So it's just a little bit of story in here, and when you get to see the missions, they really don't provide any sort of advancement for the story. They are just little side episodes, let's say. There is not a quest line to advance the story as it was with the missions in Elderslade, so it's just for you to, yeah, it's a time sink basically, but let us just see what this is all about, and so that you get an idea of what the Kharum-ubnâr is.
Hail, friend!
Hail, Beriathan! I am in need of your assistance in completing a number of missions as part of our efforts to bolster Prince Durin and the Gabil'akkâ in their preparations and ensure the welfare of our brethren at distant dwarf holds. We must be well prepared when the time comes to reclaim Mount Gundabad at last. Would you assist me and the Kharum-ubnâr by completing several of these missions? So this is just a wrapper, you gotta complete 10 of these. As chance has it, there are 10 missions for the Kharum-ubnâr. These are only 10 missions, there is no rotation in these. Every single day you have the same 10 missions available, so at least you don't need to go out of your way to complete the deeds with these guys. But on the other hand, since you are only doing 10 missions for them, it can get monotonous really fast. And even 3 weeks of these missions, even 1 week is too much in my opinion. So I have maxed the Kharum-ubnâr with one of my other characters, but it took me close to a year because I just did the missions with them every time I felt like it. But even then, it was such a slog. So I plan on maxing the Kharum-ubnâr with Beriathan, but it's a long-term project. So don't expect me to give you any updates on this for the time being. But enough of the forward. Let us get on to the missions.
What news do you bring?
I have a new mission for you, Beriathan. I have received an urgent message from the dwarves at Gabil'akkâ. It seems that even though they are no longer traveled by orcs and the men of Angmar, the blade beaks that have long dwelt in the region have grown a bit more numerous and much more dangerous than they anticipated. Burrows have been cropping up in the center of Gabil'akkâ for several days now, and if they are not soon sealed, it is feared the blade beaks will overrun the settlement. You are to travel to Gabil'akkâ and aid the dwarves there in sealing these burrows. Although the dwarves of Gabil'akkâ are no longer trapped beyond the Ramas Delun, the miners face new challenges as the creatures of Angmar reclaim the fallen realm. Your mission is to aid the dwarves of Gabil'akkâ in repelling an infestation of blade beaks, and a twist surprise attack that we already saw during our time in Elderslade doing missions, so nothing new in this regard. It's been a long while since we were here in Gabil'akkâ, and even then, I think we didn't spend a lot of time in Gabil'akkâ when we were questing through Angmar. So it's always nice to come back here and spend a little more time with the dwarves. We didn't get to meet them, so at least with these missions, with this mission in particular, we'll get to remember who are the dwarves stationed in here. So if by any chance they show up again in Gundabad, I'm not sure about that, but if they do, at least we'll know who they are. Now, we also have a new deed in here, Foe Slayer of the Kharum-ubnâr. I don't remember how many tiers this deed has, but well, you are expected to do 20 days of missions to max this faction, so I would expect this deed to go a long way. About, I don't know, just give you any number, about 500 Foe Slade, something like that. That's a lot. But once again, by the time you have maxed this faction, you will already have completed all the Slayer deeds, all tiers, unless you're using reputation tomes. If you are using reputation tomes, you might be able to finish max out the reputation before you finish the Slayer deed. That hasn't been my case, so I don't worry too much about that Slayer deed. I think it's gonna be okay. Now we're missing one more burrow, and I'm not sure what it is. All these burrows have semi-fixed locations, meaning, yeah, I just missed it. For the most part, they all spawn at the same places, but I remember a couple times where it seems a little bit different. So I think they do rotate a little, but for the most part you should be okay. So we have Guard and Sur and Gizur, the two dwarves in here. Yeah, I don't remember a lot about these guys. And Sur, is it over? Aye, sir. I think that's the last of them. The ground trembles as a massive blade beak bursts forth. Hold fast. Yeah, this is gonna be quick. Even though this guy has a huge morale pool, he really is not that strong. So there we go. Mission complete. I think they don't have any more dialogue. A Longbeard scout has arrived to escort you back to Akraz-zahar. Oh, and we can get the chest in here. That's great. So this is not like the missions for the Gabil'akkâ, where you can only open the chest if you're at level cap. At least for these missions with the Kharum-ubnâr, they allow you to open the chest at level 130, and I think the reason for that is because the rewards of the Kharum-ubnâr only go as far as level 130. So in a way, this is the level cap of the Kharum-ubnâr, I guess. That ought to keep them at bay for a time. Beriathan, let us return. I hope. I'm not holding my breath. Yeah, I don't think we'll be able to get the first tier of the reputation maxed so that we can get the mastering here. At least not on this episode, but maybe we'll get the chance of doing that later.
Long live King Thorin! Long live Durin Stonehelmson!
Well done, Beriathan. I suppose if it's not one thing, it's another. Angmar is not the most hospitable land, even for the hardiest of dwarves. That's true. What do we have in here? New did missions, the Kharum-ubnâr. You just gotta complete these 10 missions, you get a frame, title, currency, virtue XP, reputation with the Havanaka? But why? We are doing the Kharum-ubnâr. Oh god. Anyway, let us continue. I have a new mission for you, Beriathan. Our scouts have sighted a band of orcs gathered at Durin's Stone. Even in the long absence of Durin's folk, the stone has resisted the orcs' attempts to destroy it. However, it seems orc defilers have begun to blight the Dimrill Dale with their foul poisons. We cannot allow their corruption to spread beyond the halls of Khazad-dûm. You are to travel to the Dimrill Dale at once and defeat the orc defilers before it is too late. Let us go! Despite the failure of the Iron Garrison, the dwarves will not allow the orcs of Khazad-dûm to spill forth into Azanulbizar, the Dimrill Dale. Your mission is to defeat orc defilers that have come out of Moria and destroy their cauldrons of blight. Shared corruption, I think, was the twist. I didn't look, to be honest with you, but it's okay. Not a big deal in here. But, well, as you will see throughout the episode, all these missions with the Kharum-ubnâr will send us through many of the locations we have already visited, and these locations are really far apart from each other. So this just reinforces the idea of this being some side chapter that really doesn't have a lot of bearing to the plot, because even by LOTRO standards, it's really far-fetched to believe our character would be able to travel all throughout Rhovanion and some parts of Eriador doing missions and still be in time to reclaim Gundabad with Durin. So, on that regard, yeah, don't overthink this, basically. It's what I'm trying to say. On the other hand, you will see most of these missions will take us back to the east gate of Moria. But, well, the Iron Garrison has been destroyed. So at first, there doesn't seem to be a lot of reasons to go back to this portion of Middle-earth. But you gotta keep in mind that in this update, Blood of Azog, well, it also introduced the Tales of Yore at Azanulbizar, which is the Dimrill Dale, and I guess, well, since the devs reworked a lot of the terrain for this update, I guess it made a lot of sense to also reuse this place as much as they could for the missions, because, well, on one hand that was a lot of work, but on the other hand, I think some of the players that had already visited the Dimrill Dale and Khazad-dûm might not have a big incentive enough for them to just come back and revisit this place just to see how the terrain changed. But something else that the devs did, which I think was really clever, but we'll get to see more of that in the main series, is at the end of your questing in Azanulbizar, you will be given a quest, and the conclusion for that quest will come at the present time. So you still gotta come back to the present day version of the Dimrill Dale if you plan on doing every single quest you can do in Azanulbizar. And once again, I thought that was really clever. And we'll get the chance of seeing how that quest exactly plays out when we get there. But just so you know, it's there, and it was a really touching moment too. So yeah, expect to see a lot of the Eastern Gate of Khazad-dûm on these missions. This is just one of them, but I think there are 3 or 4 of them, which is almost half of the mission roster for the Kharum-ubnâr that takes place in here. As an Ulbizar does not belong to the orcs, Beriathan, let us return. What do we have in here? Oh, okay.
At your service, and your families.
Very good, Beriathan. Let those foul orcs cower in Moria. The Dimrill Dale shall never be theirs again. Okay, let us continue.
Long live King Thorin. Long live Durin Stonehelmson.
I have a new mission for you, Beriathan. Our scouts in the Dimrill Dale have sighted another band of orcs railing outside the East Gate. It seems that the few remaining orcs of Mazok's clan of old, the Pulpum, now lead them. The evils of Azog and his foul offspring haunt us at every step. This cannot stand. You are to travel to the Dimrill Dale at once and defeat the Pulpum leading the orcs at the East Gate for the Kharum-ubnâr. Despite the failure of the Iron Garrison, the dwarves will not allow the orcs of Khazad-dûm to spill forth into as an Ulbizar, the Dimrill Dale. Your mission is to defeat the Pulpum Gate captain and orcs camped at the East Gate of Moria. Twist gated, and we also know that one. That's something. Yeah, this mission has also made me realize something else. Well, Moria is where we fought Mazok, which is of course brother of Bolg, son of Azog, and well, that was also one of the big focus of Update 30, the Blood of Azog. Well, Azog's lineage. That was the detonant for the 6th War of Dwarves and Orcs. Azog is the one who started it, but his offspring has also traveled the dwarves at many different points. We saw Bolg and the Battle of the Five Armies, but in LOTRO's case we also have Mazok and the Iron Garrison, so for that reason, that's another reason why it makes a lot of sense to be coming back to the East Gate so much. As you have seen, this is the 2nd mission in the East Gate. Yeah, I think half of the missions actually for the Kharum-ubnâr take place in here, 5 missions. Let us count them. I just want to have fun and double check how many missions are there. Despite its sturdiness, the gate splinters and crashes to the ground. There he goes. Cross the threshold and we'll have your head. That's what you did with Thor, but you cannot do that to me. As a matter of fact, I have already crossed that threshold a couple times, and you cannot stop me from doing so again. It's just that I don't want to right now. The orcs made well within Moria for the moment, Beriathan, but its gate belongs to Durin's folk. Let us return. What do we have in here now?
Gundabad will be ours once more.
You have done well, Beriathan. May those orcs who still cling to their loyalties of old, be it that of Azog, Bolg, or even Mazok and Gorgar, know their time is at an end.
Gundabad will be ours once more.
I have a new mission for you, Beriathan. Our scouts have reported a recent rise in activity to the north. It seems a remnant of the Iron Crown has taken refuge in the lands of Kharbronach, and they have set a watchful at Rathat-Cawl, the Narrowway. Although the Gabil'akkâ must remain focused on the reclamation of Gundabad, we cannot allow the Iron Crown to keep a foothold so near to the mountain. You are to travel to Rathat-Cawl at once, defeat the gatekeeper and tear down the banner of the Iron Crown. Far to the north of Anakurfu lies Rathat-Cawl, the Narrowway, a treacherous passage into Kharbronach. There, those still loyal to the Iron Crown guard the approach to the last bastions of Angmar. Your mission is to defeat the Darhan gatekeeper guarding Rathat-Cawl and tear down the banner of the Iron Crown. Burning Shield, we also know this one. So let us go. Now, this one is at the doorstep of Gundabad, basically. but still in the map of Elderslade. The passage to Kharum-ubnâr, as we've been told, of course. But you might also remember during our journeys in Elderslade, not all dwarves know what Kharum-ubnâr is or where it is located. So, I don't know, it seems, I guess, from the last time we were in Elderslade to this point, the dwarves have discovered what is Kharum-ubnâr and its location. And well, as you have seen, they have also discovered is in the hands of the Angmar and the Dwarven. We need to take care of that. I think that was it. So blow the horn. And here comes the gatekeeper. Who dare summon me? I do. Have you come to kneel before the Iron Crown? That's very wishful thinking on your part. Not even more that it was able to make me kneel, so you don't have any chance against me. You won't get far. We'll see about that. Now, of course, the mission has bugged. At this point, you should be able to use the banner to advance the mission. This is actually not the first time I've seen this bug. It's not that common, but it does happen every once in a while. It's just a minor inconvenience, but it's still really annoying every time it happens. We just gotta re-enter the mission basically. Race back to the banner, and now it should be usable. Please tell me that is so. Yeah, there you go. It's really weird. I don't know what that happens. At first I thought that happened every time where you were too fast killing the enemies, but I think we took our time this time. So I don't know what makes this bug to appear. It's really annoying though. The realm of Angmar clings to life, Beriathan, but they will not prevail. Let us return. There we go.
Hail, friend.
Still not loaded yet, but here you can see the rewards that you can get with the Kharum-ubnâr. The master, in our case, we need to be neutral standing. So, well, once again, I don't think we'll be able to do it today, but it's on the radar. And as you see here, all the rewards go up to level 130, so I guess that's why you can open the chest at 130 still. We have some cosmetics, Dwarven cosmetics, and housing items, but well, nothing too major. And some pets, which, I mean, the eagle might be worth getting, and not that we're added the pony too, but it's not a priority. But by the time you finish grinding the reputation, you will have so many tokens that you might as well get the pet and the cosmetics, right?
At your service, and your families.
You have my thanks, Beriathan. Once the gates of Gundabad are opened and we have staked our claim upon the mountain, the time shall come to explore Kharum-ubnâr. Of that I am certain. And I'll be there when you do.
What news do you bring?
I have a new mission for you, Beriathan. After Hrimil Frostheart sealed the gates of Mount Gundabad, the victory we sought was stolen from us. Prince Durin has handled himself in the manner of his station, but I know he feels this setback as keenly as any other dwarf. Some of the soldiers at Sarkul-Sulûn have begun to doubt in our cause, and they might soon fall to despair. You are a storied warden, so I am told. Will you speak to them on behalf of the prince? Travel to Sarkul-Sulûn and do what you can to ease the mind of our soldiers. As the War of Three Peaks drew near its end, the dwarves of the Gabil'akkâ suffered a sudden, terrible setback. Before the final effort is made to breach the gates of Gundabad, the dwarves must resist falling to despair and overcome their doubts. Your mission is to raise the spirits of the disheartened soldiers of the Gabil'akkâ at Sarkul-Sulûn and help them to overcome thoughts of despair. Sacrificial twist. We already know this one as well. And yeah, I mean, all the missions with the Kharum-ubnâr are really short, and that's something I'm grateful as well, because it doesn't take a long time to do the missions with them. So at least on that regard, you don't take a lot of time. I mean, I've been thinking recently, and I think I already told you this, but the reputation grind that almost broke me, almost made me quit the game for good, was the ends of Durndingle, which in my opinion was atrocious. It took about 45 days of grinding, and there were a lot of quests, but you had to run around a lot. The rewards were not worth it. It took a long time doing all the daily quests. It almost broke me. It almost made me quit the game. I still believe that's the worst grind the game has ever seen. There are other grinds that come close to it. For example, the reputations in the Wastes in Mordor. But I still think the ends are the worst. All the Host of the West sub-factions are also really bad, but in comparison the Kharum-ubnâr is not that bad. At least it doesn't take that long to complete the missions with them, and once again for that I am grateful. Now, as you have seen with this mission, we only need to talk to the dwarves to raise their spirits, and we need to physically defeat their thoughts of despair. They are all wondering how much long will it be until they can retake Gundabad, if they can recover from this defeat, this kind of stuff, but it's really not a complicated mission. The only thing is that you need to do this one by one, because if you try to talk to one dwarf while you are still fighting a thought of despair, you might get interrupted and lose time. So this mission is not AoE friendly, and it takes longer than it would be if you had that option. Thank you, Beriathan. We are not beaten yet. No, we're not. And just wait until I go back with the Kharum-ubnâr. I mean, once again, this is just a side chapter. We have not gone back to Elderslade technically yet, but just wait till I do, and you'll see.
What news do you bring?
Thank you, Beriathan. Krimil may have slowed us down, but victory will still be ours. Let us continue.
Long live King Thorin! Long live Durin Stonehelmson!
I have a new mission for you, Beriathan. Our scouts in the Dimrill Dale have discovered a small band of orcs and goblins camped upon the Redhorn Pass. I do not know if they mean to join with Gorgar and his ilk in Gundabad, or simply harry the folk of the Vales, but we cannot allow them to overrun the pass. You are to travel to the Dimrill Dale and secure the Redhorn Pass. Mission number 3 at the Dimrill Dale, if you've been counting. Despite the failure of the Iron Garrison, the dwarves will not allow the orcs of Khazad-dûm to spill forth into Azanulbizar the Dimrill Dale. Your mission is to secure the Redhorn Pass. Reinforcements, we also know this twist, and this mission is actually really fast. It does lend itself to AoE, so it's right down our alley. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. We just need to take care of these guys. We claim the metal base. You don't need to defeat the reinforcements. Well, you do need to defeat the reinforcements to have the control point to become clickable. But most of the time, by the time you get here, your dots will have taken care of it, so you don't need to worry about it. Now we have completed the first tier of this layer of the Kharum-ubnâr deed. That's good. We have secured the first and the second encampment. The first encampment. We are defeating the counterattack on the second camp. And that's already been taken care of. You can also avoid some of the enemies in here. Not all of them, but most of them. So yeah, I think this is one of the fastest missions in the for the Kharum-ubnâr. the third encampment, and I think we only need to get the fourth one now. And I also gotta say, I'm glad I'm doing this particular mission at night because it allows me to see the aura of Orc's Bane. You know, I love this aura, so I really like being able to see it fully, because sometimes at daytime it's not that easy to discern. So sometimes I worried I somehow have broken it, so I'm glad to see it's working as intended. And that was basically it. That was the mission. We opened the chest, we talked to the scout, we go. Well done, Beriathan. We did not fear that the Redhorn Pass will be overrun this day. Let us return. Now, before we do this, let us check the deed that we completed. We have defeated 100 enemies, 1000 virtue XP. I don't think that was enough for us to level up the virtue. Oh no, yeah. It seems we did. Get fidelity and new rank. Anyway, now what do we have in here? 200 enemies. I think we might be able to get this deed done as well today. There are a lot of enemies for these missions. We'll see.
Gundabad will be ours once more.
Well done, Beriathan. I am pleased that the Redhorn Pass will remain clear of foes as we prepare to march on Gundabad once more.
Long live King Thorin. Long live Durin Stonehelmson.
I have a new mission for you, Beriathan. Our scouts have sighted a greater number of orcs patrolling beyond the East Gate and down into the Dimrill Dale. We fight this day for Gundabad, but the time will soon come to return to Khazad-dûm and drive every last orc from its halls. That is the promise of the Kharum-ubnâr. You are to travel to the Dimrill Dale at once and plant our banners upon every orc you slay. This also is a really fast one. Despite the failure of the Iron Garrison, the dwarves will not allow the orcs of Khazad-dûm to spill forth into Azanulbizar, the Dimrill Dale. Your mission is to defeat orcs in the Dimrill Dale and plant banners of the Gabil'akkâ upon them. Raging. That we also know. So, we gotta defeat 12 of these guys, and in fact there will be more than 12 on our way to the end point of the mission. We can try and pull as many of these guys as we can. Just need to apply our dot to be able to move on. There we go. They start dropping. Now with any luck we'll have the 12 corpses just laying by here. So we don't need to backtrack to some of the orcs we defeated earlier to plant all the banners. But that happens every once in a while. I think that's all the orcs on this pile. I mean, you spend more time planting the banners than you do fighting the orcs. So it's technically a really long mission, a really short mission, but it feels so long when you're spending so much time just planting banners. There we go. Go, mission complete. Grab the chest. Grab the chest. And let's go. We cannot let the orcs forget that Khazad-dûm belongs to Durin's folk, Beriathan. Let us return. No, they will not forget that. Rest easy about that. That's not gonna happen. Now, that was mission 4 in the Dimrill Dale. So what now? Well done, Beriathan. There is only one sort of message an orc will understand, and you have delivered it. Yeah, you are correct on that one.
Gundabad will be ours once more.
I have a new mission for you, Beriathan. After slaying a few unwary orcs, our scouts in the Dimrill Dale discovered the orcs of Moria are carrying trinkets belonging to the dwarves of the Iron Garrison. This is a grave insult, and it will not be borne by me or any other proud dwarf for that matter. You are to travel to the Dimrill Dale and recover these trinkets from the orcs of Moria. Despite the failure of the Iron Garrison, the dwarves will not allow the orcs of Castle Doom to spill forth into Azanulbis or the Dimrill Dale. Your mission is to recover trinkets stolen from the dwarves of the Iron Garrison. Raging Twist, once again. So, as you see here, we need to collect 14 trinkets, but we also need to defeat the Stone Keepers. So, basically, every orc you defeat will give you one of these trinkets, but the Stone Speaker will give you actually, I think it's 4. It will give you a lot of trinkets. So you don't need to actually fight 14 orcs. You can do with less. Let's see how many actually. Yep, he gives you 4 trinkets. So we just needed to pull one more orc. Oh, that was fast. Awesome. So, the chest, the scout, let's go. It can hardly repay what was taken from the Iron Garrison, Beriathan, but it will have to do for today. Let us return. Yeah, I mean, I think that was great. We did great.
Long live King Thorin! Long live Durin Stonehelmson!
You have my thanks, Beriathan. Many dwarves were lost when the Iron Garrison was driven from Moria, and I will not let their efforts or their sacrifices be forgotten. I shall see that these are returned to their king at once. What comes next?
Gundabad will be ours once more.
I have a new mission for you, Beriathan. I have received word that my kinsfolk in the Misty Mountains are dealing with a most unusual problem. It seems another stone giant down from Irisbar's peaks has taken to propping open the gates of Gabil'akkâ. It seems like some sort of queer gameplay by the giant and its kind, and though I do not believe it means my folk any real harm, it's letting all sorts of foul beasts and weather in. You are to travel to Gabil'akkâ and do what you must to drive off that stone giant. After reclaiming Gabil'akkâ from the Darahans and their foul allies, the dwarves of Durin's folk must now contend with the other inhabitants of the Misty Mountains. Your mission is to repel the meddlesome stone giant traveling the dwarves of Gabil'akkâ. Crushing. We have already seen that one too. Now, in my opinion, this is the worst mission of the Kharum-ubnâr, and you will see why in just a moment. We need to defeat the snow beasts, that's not a big deal, but this cold will slow you down, will blind you, will debuff you. So as much as I would like to, I really cannot pull a lot of enemies at once in this mission because I tend to get overwhelmed by the cold weather really quickly. I think this is one of the few missions in which I have died out of being reckless. So yeah, not a big fan of this mission, as you can see. Can you please die? And you too. Perfect. There we go. On the other hand, it's been a long time since last time we were at Gabil'akkâ, so once again, it's always fun to come back to these places. Now we just gotta defeat the giant. You annoy me, little man. Yeah, you annoy me too. And once again, this guy seems to have a lot of morale, but we just need to drive him off. So you just need to take off half of his morale bar, actually. It's not that bad. The meddlesome stone giant tires of your games and leaves Gabil'akkâ. These dwarves are not as fun as the other ones. You mean the Downhands? Most likely you do. And now you use the gate mechanism, and that is it. Now, fun fact, you don't need to wait for the giant to stop, to finish his dialogue, and to leave Gabil'akkâ. You can use the mechanism as soon as the fight is over, so you can save a few seconds every time you do this mission. I have a feeling that pesky giant will be back again, Beriathan, but you have done well. Let us return. And we have just one more mission left.
Hail, friend!
Oh, come on. One more mission. Ah, no. Yeah, well, we gotta turn this one in. But yeah, that's gonna be it, basically. Please do it.
Hail, friend!
Very good, Beriathan. Let us hope that giant leaves them alone, at least for a few days. Oh, we have completed the weekly.
At your service and your families.
I have a new mission for you, Beriathan. A few of our scouts were able to approach Mount Gundabad, and they were fortunate enough to escape the notice of the Frost Horde. It seems the many of Hrimil's brood have begun to roost near the wall of ice encasing the gates of the mountain. It is true that Prince Durin wishes to gain entry to Gundabad, but such a task comes with a great risk. You are to travel to the gates and attempt to breach the ice preventing the Gabil'akkâ from entering Mount Gundabad. Do not remain there longer than you must. Yeah, but once again, this is a mission, so this is not the place where we are gonna destroy the wall of ice. As you can imagine, if not, well, sorry for the spoiler. By the breath of Hrimil Frosthard, the gates of Gundabad were sealed shut. If the dwarves of the Gabil'akkâ intend to enter the Sacred Mountain, they shall first have to overcome the towering wall of ice that separates them from their prize. Your mission is to repel the Frost Horde and attempt to breach the ice sealing the gates of Mount Gundabad. Hrimil's chosen, another twist that we already saw. So, the missions of the Kharum-ubnâr didn't really add that much in comparison to the missions of Elderslade. And you also gotta keep in mind that in between these two, we also got the Wildwood, which introduced a whole set of missions and new twists. So yeah, I think the Wildwood, which we'll get to eventually, it's, yes, a little bit more complex than the Kharum-ubnâr, but I will take the missions of the Kharum-ubnâr any day over the Wildwood. They are faster. You don't need to grab the horn and summon the NPC and then go back to the entrance for every single mission of the Kharum-ubnâr as you do with the Wildwood. Even when you have completed the objective and have the NPC right next to you, the fact that you still gotta go back to the entrance is a big annoyance in my book. So I have barely done the missions of the Wildwood. I think I have done them once, just for the deed, and it was such a terrible experience that I decided not to do them again. And they are really long as well, the missions in the Wildwood. Way longer than the Elderslade or the Kharum-ubnâr, so that's another reason why I don't do them as much. The only mission on the Wildwood that I can see myself doing semi-consistently is Svalfang, I think it is, the one with the giant. It's really short, but other than that, any other mission on the Wildwood, it's really not worth it in my opinion, but I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Today we are just doing the Kharum-ubnâr and we're about to be done with them, as a matter of fact. So about 40 minutes give and take for you to do all 10 missions. It's not that bad. And once again, 20 days of this doesn't sound that bad, but it can get monotonous really fast. So you either use reputation tomes or you spread this out for more than 20 days, or you might go crazy. You have done enough for now, Beriathan. Let us leave this place before the Frost Horde overruns us. At least that's my opinion, my take on the Kharum-ubnâr missions. What do we have here?
Hail, friend!
I appreciate your efforts, Beriathan. It will take time to reach the wall of ice outside Gundabad, but once we do, the mountain shall be ours once more. Oh! Ah, yeah, we completed the deed, of course. So, what do we have in here? Let me just check really quick. Some virtue XP. Fidelity is now level 45. The title, the frame. Hand of the Kharum-ubnâr. You have completed all of the missions given to you by the dwarves of the Kharum-ubnâr. Yep. And we also got, well, some task items. Let me get them really quick. Task and crafting items. That's a lot. And the Kharum-ubnâr frame. It's bound to account, so you can technically share this with other characters, but it's so easy to grab it that you really don't need to send it. You just need to hit level 20 and do this now. The Kharum-ubnâr frame, as you see, is this one. Maybe good for some dwarven characters, but in my opinion, nothing beats the Beacon of Gondor for Beriathan, so we're gonna keep using that one for the time being. And now we can turn in the weekly.
What news do you bring?
I thank you for your assistance, Beriathan. We of the Kharum-ubnâr cannot be everywhere, but you have done much to aid us. Hail Thorin Stonehelmed, King under the mountain. Glory to Durin's folk. We have here some more extra reputation. And oh my god, not even halfway through. God, this is a pain. I think I'm gonna use some reputation tomes tomorrow so that I can just get the mastering here before I move on to the Tales of Yore, so that I can come back here easily. Oh my god, you see, that's what I mean. It's really not worth it, but if you're a completionist, you will have to do this at some point. Now, what do I want to get for this weekly quest? I think the legendary item boost. Anyway, that was it basically for the Kharum-ubnâr mission. Something really short to do, really simple, and something extra to do. If by any chance you are bored with the game, don't have anything else to do, you can still come back here to the Kharum-ubnâr and do some short missions. Not a big deal, but it's there in case you want to do them. For the time being though, this has been all on today's last episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you on the next one. Until then, my friends, stay safe, take care, good luck to you all, and I will see you later.